us some words of wisdom. Thank you for being here today, Reverend.
Thank you for inviting me. Let us pause for a moment to prepare our hearts and our minds for the work to be done in this council meeting. Take a deep breath in and let it out. Move your shoulders up and down and release the tension that's built up already this morning. Epule kako. Holy One, bless the members of Kauai County Council. Give them wisdom to act on behalf of the citizens of this county in the business at hand. Open their ears to listen. Open their mouths to speak respectfully to each other and the constituents here in this room. Open their minds to find ways this council can address and solve the issues before them. May anger and resentment be left at the door so that discussion will lead to a good outcome for all. Let aloha be felt in this space. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend. Thank you very much. We do have a public hearing before the agenda, and that is for Bill 2987. Clerk, can you read the notice, please?
Notice is hereby given that the Kauai County Council will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, April 8th, 2026 at 8:30 a.m. or soon thereafter in the Council Chambers, 4396 Rice Street, in room 201 in the Historic County Building in Lehua, on Bill number 2987, a bill for an ordinance amending Chapter 5A, Kauai County Code 1987, as amended relating to real property tax. This bill proposes to amend Kauai County Code 1987 as amended, sections 5A-6.4 and 5A-9.1 to support the sustainability of agriculture by addressing existing challenges faced by property owners when multiple uses are occurring on dedicated agricultural use parcels or where agricultural operations involve more than one dedicated parcel for the same owner or tenant. This ordinance amends the definitions of agricultural use and commercial structure to broaden the eligibility for agricultural dedications to allow a separate taxation of commercial structures in the specified situations, with clarifications on how real property taxation will occur in those situations. The definition of agricultural use is also amended to encompass meat packing or processing operations, even if those operations are not occurring on the same parcel the animals were raised on. Chair, we have no written testimony on the matter.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to testify? Seeing none, this public hearing is closed. And with that, I will call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Councilmember Bolosan.
Here.
Councilmember Cavallo.
Here.
Councilmember Cowden.
Here.
Councilmember Holland.
Present.
Councilmember Kaneshiro.
Present.
Councilmember Cooley is running late. Council Chair Opozo.
Here.
Is present.
Can I have a motion to approve agenda, please?
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Just for everyone's information, we will be taking 2026-79 at 9:30, so when the parties arrive. With that, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item, please.
Chair, next item are the minutes of the following meetings of the Council: the March 11th, 2026 Council meeting and the March 11th, 2026 public hearing regarding Bill number 2981 and Bill number 2984.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion or public testimony? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item, we will be taking 2026-78 out of the consent calendar, so if we could have 2026-77, please.
Move to receive.
Wait.
Oh, sorry.
Read it in.
Consent calendar item to be received, C2026-77.
Move to receive.
Second.
Any discussion or public testimony? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item.
Next item is C2026-78, communication from Jody Higuchi Saigusa, the Public Access Open Space Natural Resources Preservation Fund Commission, transmitting for council information the Public Access Open Space Natural Resources Preservation Fund Commission 2024-2025 biennial report pursuant to Chapter 6, Article 14 of the Kauai County Code 1987 as amended.
Move to receive. Second.
Thank you. With that, I will suspend the rules, and if we can have our Planning and Open Space Commission representatives up. Thank you for the amazing report. Well done.
You're welcome. Aloha Chair and members of the Council. My name is Robin Pratt. I'm the Chair of the Open Space Commission. And on behalf of the Open Space Commission, I am pleased to share our biannual plan and progress we have made together over the past 2 years. This work reflects a shared commitment to protecting the places that define Hawaii and ensure that our lands remain accessible and meaningful for the people who call this island home. I want to begin by expressing our sincere gratitude to each of you. Your continued support has made it possible for us to expand access to open spaces for our local community, creating more opportunities for families to gather, for keiki to explore, and for residents to connect with the Aina in ways that honor our culture and way of life. This plan builds on that momentum. It prioritizes the protection of culturally and environmentally significant lands and continues to increase equitable access so that these spaces are not just preserved but truly shared. We recognize that this work is not done in isolation. It requires collaboration, trust, and long-term vision for the future of Kauai. We remain committed to working alongside the Council and our community to ensure that these lands are stewarded with care and intention for generations to come. Mahalo for your leadership and partnership. We are honored to continue this work together. I'm going to turn it over to Jody and Shalea now.
Hi, Jody Higuchi Saigusa with the Planning Department. I serve as the clerk of the Open Space Commission. I'm also joined with Shalea Koga. She is our open space planner that really does support and work directly with the commission quite a lot. Just real briefly, I wanted to highlight certain facets of our biannual report. Of course, the biannual report is our primary means to communicate with you folks all the progress and the work we've done over a 2-year period. And with it, there are some key recommendations that we transmit and want to provide and communicate to you folks. In addition, there is, as you folks know, there's a dossier process that we've created in our rules that would bring to you folks any timely recommendations. You know, for instance, things that are on open market that we want to respond to in a quicker way in between the 2 years. But today we're here with the biannual report, and later Shalea will highlight one of the key recommendations. Over the past 2 years, we have really focused on finalizing a lot of the pending proposals that has, you know, a lot of these proposals takes a lot of time to research, to communicate with landowners, and to, you know, get appraisals, line things up for a maintenance plan. A lot of things take a lot of time, and so we've been really focusing on finalizing a lot of the previous proposals that were pending over several biennial year periods. There, of course, as you folks know, there are a couple matters, coastal accesses that are pending litigation, and so of course we really we're here to support that, but also support the work of the county attorneys and settling those matters. There's also, we also of course managed to acquire Hanapepe, the Hanapepe massacre parcels, formerly known as, and of course are well on our way to construct a monument to realize the vision of the purpose of acquiring those properties. And then of course we also have a couple other matters that we're just working through and trying to seek access in the Kilauea area for Mauka access, and so we're making good progress there. We've also, you know, in the last couple of years have focused on trying to tackle improvements for coastal accesses. We have formed a permitted interaction group of the Open Space Commission, who are, you know, place-based. Of course, one of the commissioners, Billy Kinney, he's of course, very ingrained in the knowledge, cultural knowledge, and access issues to the North Shore, and so of course he's one of the PIG members that are meant to provide key recommendations on coastal accesses we want to prioritize for improvements. We are in the progress of revising our open space rules, of course, after the charter was amended and the ordinance was amended to allow up to 5% of the existing amount of the fund to be used for maintenance. And so that, of course, is to support stewards and attract stewards to come in, help to maintain the accesses and the properties that we acquire. And so we're about to go out to formal rulemaking. We have draft rules. We've been discussing that for at least half the year. And so I think we're at a point in June to have a formal public hearing to discuss those rules. And we're also have a lot of discussions on how to revision outreach. We kind of did a survey of other open space commissions in the state and kind of learned some from their processes. Namely, there's a once a year deadline for most of the proposals. Unless there's a dossier, there's a timely recommendation. But we're looking at creating like a timeline to receive proposals so that the rest of the year we can research and work through that and make sure that we get conclusions to each of those. So that's really a high-level discussion of the things we have focused on the last couple years. I'm going to turn it over to Shaleia to discuss the key recommendation in our biennial report.
So as Jody mentioned earlier, normally you folks, majority of the acquisitions that you see us proposing to you folks comes through a dossier process. Because this had kind of worked out timing-wise that the biannual report was also being transmitted to you folks, we decided to add it into the biannual report and transmit it this way. And so one of the key acquisitions and proposals that the Open Space Commission is asking for is a coastal beach access through a Leomanu, which will go onto the Leomanu coastline. And this is on TMK 49004-013, and it is adjacent to a stream. So right now, public access is already occurring on the property. There's a flat area where people walk through to access the beach. Auntie Nalani Kaneakua, who, as probably a lot of you know, runs the Ko'olau Limu project right in the Leomanu coastline. And so she's really a huge supporter of us getting this access. Right now, the property owners do let people traverse their property. However, we want to make sure that whether they're the owners or not the owners, this will be in perpetuity to the property, that people will be able to access that coastline. And so because Auntie Nalani couldn't make it today, she did send in testimony really highlighting why this access is so important from a cultural purpose. She not only has classes there in regards to the Limu project, they teach kids about past traditions that have come before them, stories that were told, songs, and things that, she really doesn't want to let the community forget about. And so,
Is it on the page in here?
Page 130 and 131 is the resolution for condemnation of the property. So we were in talks with the property owners for many years. At first, they were willing to work with us to give us a coastal access easement, but unfortunately within the last year, they no longer feel that way. And so we are asking for condemnation of the easement moving forward. And so that's why page 130 and 131 is the actual resolution. The Open Space Commission had recommended maybe like 2 months ago for us to put this in and transmit to you folks. So if you folks do want to take this up, it would have to be on a separate agenda from the biannual report, and from there we would be able to give a full presentation on a Leomanu and also have Auntie Nalani come to speak to the cultural history on the property.
Excuse me. Perfect.
Thank you.
So I'm assuming that this is the proposal right here. So our staff will just transpose it. We can get it on as soon as possible.
Thank you.
I have a real quick question, and just a little bit of history. In 2012, the original bill was passed, and it provided 1.5% of the RPT revenue, real property tax revenues, to the open space fund. And that was a significant amount of money. And then in 2015, and I was here for both of them. On 2012, it was myself and Councilmember Cooley was on that council. And in 2015, we reduced it to 0.5%, half of 1%. And Harold was here, I was here, as well as Kipukai. And recently, we amended the ordinance to allow the use of this fund to pay for maintenance, entitlements, and improvements, as you just described. So while the revenues stay the same, we've increased the outflow, which means we have less money for acquisition. So I'm just going to ask, and I honestly don't remember. I think back in 2015, times were leaner. We had to reduce the funds, and the times are not as lean now. If we was to consider restoring that to 1.5%, and I'll ask the commission chair or vice chair, would that significantly improve or increase the number of acquisitions that we can go after?
Absolutely. We get about less than $1 million right now a year. So if we could increase that, as we all know, land prices have gone up. So
as well as the expense side that we're
absolutely.
funding out of this fund.
Yeah. So the more money that is given to the commission, the more we can do to acquire more property and move quickly.
Okay. It's just, as I'm looking through the projects, and at this point now, you pretty much got to pick and choose and prioritize based on the, and as we just went through going through the budget process, I'm seeing that there is potentially an opportunity to restore that to 1.5%. So,
Yeah, on page, you can see on page 19 that we added information about increasing, if possible, funding for the commission and the work that we do.
thank you. Thank you very much. That is helpful. Any questions for our Mr. Connoisseur?
At one time, or throughout the years, we've been talking about relooking at all of the easements that maybe we've lost over time, or just lost the information. And then I think planning or maybe open space has been going back and seeing, looking at old subdivision maps, like what easements have we required owners to have, but we just haven't kept track of them. Are we still doing that? And are there any easements that might be coming up that we might have to fix up with open space? Or
Yeah, I can speak a little bit to that. So our permitted interaction group that we formed with 4 members of the Open Space Commission is going through an inventory list of all the accesses on Kauai that we had a consultant do for us. And a lot of those accesses we're finding that didn't actually get conveyed to the county. So whether it's we have to go back through a subdivision action and an enforcement action through the department, or if it has to get recommended through proposals because it's private property and there was no subdivision condition on those properties. So our permitted interaction group is going through the list now. They are making a recommendation list that they will bring to the full Open Space Commission. And from there, the Open Space Commission will recommend which ones they want to propose. And as we hit those proposals, we'll be bringing those forward to you folks.
Thank you.
I have a follow-up to that. When your interaction group, the PIG, does their going through the list, they're not using the available funds as a measure, right? They're just looking at what we should go after, and then the commission will determine what to prioritize based on funding.
Correct, yeah. They're just making a recommendation list of all the accesses that they feel is the most important right now and should be looked at, and then the full commission will see what funds we have at the time with all of our pending either litigation or proposals, and how much funds we have available, and then recommend from there.
Okay.
It's also, well, of course, we wanted to include as the members of the PIGs. Of course, you know, for instance, Billy Kinney, who's also has a eye towards cultural sensitivity, because some of these accesses we don't necessarily, you know, there is a give and take. There's some that are already heavily used, and of course we want to make it safe and further to market. Or there's others that, you know, people would like to access, but it's overgrown, and so those type of accesses we want to prioritize. But there's also other accesses where there may be sensitive cultural resources on the other side of it, or, you know, the beach, or, you know, wherever it's leading to may have other unintended impacts if we fully publicize and demarc and put up signage. So that's why we wanted to rely on the PIG members to kind of go through that in a place-based and culturally sensitive way, and then create that recommendation. So it's not all of them are going to be prioritized in a way of we need to open all of them up. It's really relying on the members and their expertise.
There's a difference between opening them all up, or I think it's important that we acquire those that's supposed to be ours, that we can control and we can protect and not open, versus leaving it in the hands of a private owner. Kaupea is in litigation, so we cannot discuss the specifics, but it is common knowledge that access was a condition of subdivision. So it's not like we're trying to condemn land. We're trying to reclaim land that should be provided. So is that the PIG? Is a PIG picking all those types? Do we have a lot of those types of accesses that the owner just said we're not going to give you?
Yeah, I mean, so Kaupea and of course the Kilauea Malka access are both examples where when we look deeper, those are actually conditions of approval, and that's kind of an additional priority that we have now. One, when we do the research through our regular permitting duties, but in addition, I think that's going to be something unlocked once we get all of our files scanned, that we'll be able to OCR and search things up and call up things to be able to access conditions that we may not have, you know, is buried deep down in a file. But yeah, we have already incorporated that with our subdivision planner and practices, and then to research previously imposed conditions. And then also, I think with the document scanning, it would help a lot, because we'll be able to search up word terms and things to be able to call up conditions that we can then know to enforce.
Thank you, Councilmember Kaua.
What does OCR mean?
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know it's optical recognition.
Oh, it's a scanner. Okay.
Yeah, so you can type out word terms and call up documents by searching words embedded in documents.
So, first of all, I really appreciate all the effort of Open Space, and I appreciate past councils for helping to create this reality. Papa'a Bay also, is that, why did we just never got that one? And is that because we couldn't fight the legal aspect of it? I remember we used to go play there all the time. We have many landowners that have a lot more capacity, some in a day, than the county has budgeted for the year.
Yeah, so on page 10 of the biennial report, we talk about the Papa'a Bay beach access, and I did do research into this, and we found that we do have public access to Papa'a Bay, and that on September 11th, the planning department sent our inspectors down there to verify that the beach access was not blocked to foot traffic to Papa'a Bay. They did note that the trail was overgrown and in need of maintenance, but it is open and it is part of our inventory.
So we can go, it's not cleared.
Correct.
So, well, that's great, because I remember being part of that persistence a number of years ago, and then I've been too busy with this job to try and go down there. So, okay, yeah, because at some point, although I'm not sure if we can have legal conversations, to me, what is really important to know is where are we having a barrier put before us because of lawsuits? I'd just love, is there a list in here on that? Is there a list on how many of them are blocked because of legal action?
I think there's only 2 of the coastal accesses that are currently in litigation, but I'm not sure if your question is whether.
So there's only 2. So that's
Yeah.
that's what I'm asking. So
Right.
it's Aliomanu and Kaua.
Aliomanu was our request to seek authority for the county attorney's office to go through the condemnation procedures.
Okay.
But it's the former Homan late property, the fishing access in Poipu South Side, and then Kamumene. Kaupea. Access, yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Carvalho, then Mr. Kuli.
I just wanted to mention about the importance of the cultural part and how significant that we can talk about all the other stuff, which is great. I know you're identifying the moku system and all of that, right? But within each area, the cultural part, the access stuff. So I want to kind of get more the importance of that to resonate, because that can help make us make the decisions we need to make through that part. I think would be more. And then, I just wanted to get an overview on that.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, when we formed the permitted capture group, we also did so very meaningfully to make sure there's a North Shore representative, this is Lihue or East and Lihue side, and then of course the South side and West side. So all the regions are represented, and of course it's folks who are in tune with the community wishes. I mean, because even even for instance, the Homan late access, right? That was for cultural access in addition to fishermen's access. But it's not necessarily, an area that perhaps, everybody should be able to access to, one, because of the resources, but also it leads to a relatively small area, and it could be, dangerous in some seasons. And so, yeah, it does require some sensitivity and place-based knowledge.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Kuli?
I'm sorry I missed your presentation, but you might have said this, the Appendix 1, where you start to list all of the proposals that was considered by the commission.
Please note.
Page 96.
Thank you.
You've done, this is all in the history of the commission?
Correct. This
Because
is
I noticed that a lot of them are from a long time ago, so they were identified a long time ago. My question about identifying and adding to the list is, does it only happen by the commission members themselves, or this PIG that you talk about themselves, or is there a process for the community, maybe individuals or groups of individuals in the community, to petition or apply? Kind of like how a neighborhood can apply for a speed bump or whatever, where if a group of people wanted to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Appendix I goes over brief summaries of every single proposal that came before the Open Space Commission. And so how the Open Space Commission hears proposals is we have a survey online. So if a community member wanted to recommend a certain place that the commission should look at acquiring either an access or the whole property, they would fill out the survey form, and the survey form basically asks questions like, where is the property, what kind of cultural significance there is, what kind of history there is it dangerous? So they just give us brief information about what they know about the property, and then from there I do a little bit more research on what they are recommending, and I will write a formal director's report and bring it to the Open Space Commission. And so once I bring the director's report to the Open Space Commission, the commission will decide whether they want more research and they want to recommend to you folks to either acquire the property, or if they think it's not a fit for open space, then they'll deny inquiries. And so that's how the proposals get put into the biennial report. So whatever happens in the 2 years of the biennial report, either proposals that were denied or proposals that were approved for recommendations, that's what we put in here and then transmit to you folks. And then it goes into the Appendix I, which is just adds to the history of what the Open Space Commission has looked at from the beginning.
This entire list of properties is updated every 2 years?
Yes.
So when you, like on page 102, 103, 104, 105, and let's start with 105, because they all kind of say this kind of same thing. In 105, the Lehigh vacant lot, it says that, and it seemed like such a low price at $337,000 for 1.15 acres, but it says that on January 10th, 2019, the matter was deferred. So that's 7 years ago, and so was it just sitting and now you're bringing it back and next year you're going to give us a report on it?
Correct. So this is 105, the Kalihiwai. That was brought up again too by the commissioners that they're interested in relooking at the Kalihiwai properties.
And then that would be the case for all of the ones that says the planning department will provide the commission with updated research on this matter during the next reporting.
Right. I mean, a lot of it was so in addition to these the snapshots, property by property, and that's an Exhibit I. But Exhibit J also provides sort of a running list. It's just all the list of everything up to date since about 2005. Everything that was captured. And so we had to, when we were preparing the report, we had to, pull past minutes and to kind of get a feel what happened. Because, I mean, for whatever reason, it was deferred, and we had to decipher, is that like a receive? Like, is that like, a recommendation not to take it up? So we had to relook at it. Kalihiwai were ones that, it sounded like there was not much resolution on it, and so we do plan on revisiting those two properties in the next reporting hearing.
Do you do the report in this format every year?
It's been an evolution, I think, over the years.
It's amazing to show all the history, and then it's all inclusive. Then you have to go back and look at 4 other reports.
Yeah, it was much to the credit with the previous chairs that also not present here is Shaylin Ornelas, who was also a chair and repeated open space commissioner, but she also helped to, reformat this to bring things up to the front, to highlight things, and of course give a whole history inventory of what we've considered in a list form, but in addition to, these more detailed property snapshots. And so it has been an evolution.
And I'll just add, the reason we put that the planning department will provide the commission with update research on this matter during the next reporting period is because this biannual report covers 2 years. And so since we didn't do the research in this 2 years for this property, we couldn't really add the updates to the biennial report because that's not what we discussed through open space in the 2 years. So adding this will bring it to the commission's attention in the next 2 years. So on the next biennial report, we'll have updates on that.
Mm-hmm. And then the last question is probably what I missed on the end of your presentation is, so page 97, Aliamanu Beach Living Trust. Is this what's next up? Is this your actual recommendation to us today?
Correct.
And along those lines, where it reads like you were initially looking at the entire property, but you've settled on just a path or a trail, or
yes.
And is that really just a path from the road to the water? 1.393 acres. Is that all of that? Or was that the whole property?
1.393 acres is the whole property.
Okay.
So initially the proposal was to acquire the whole property, but there is a dwelling on there right now. And part of open space, we can't really acquire things with dwellings on them, and so it was more affordable also that we just look at getting a access easement to the beach.
So, and I think that's part of the history of how this property took a while. The initial proposal was to acquire the entire property with the house included
And then the 1.3 million
Yes.
was the amount
At
for
the
the,
time.
for the whole property.
at that time. But since then, we got the support of the county attorneys to support condemnation of a path. You know, it's a lot of litigation and a lot of effort to even bring a condemnation suit at all. And
So you have
yeah,
a
we
new
got to go
dollar
ahead.
amount for just the path versus the entire property?
So the 1.3 million that's on there under the assessment, that just comes straight from the real property division. We couldn't get an appraisal done because in order to get an appraisal done, you need the landowner's permission. And since they were not willing to work with us, that's why we're asking in Appendix K on page 130 for the resolution to condemn the easement, and through that condemnation, they will do an appraisal and a survey.
And the last thing on this is you mentioned working with a community leader in land stewardship, Nalani Kaniapia. So has she been part of the process the whole way and knows the difference between going after the whole property versus just doing a path?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Kaneshiro,
I have follow-up
go
on
ahead
that.
on the follow-up.
I'm just curious on
Hang
that.
Oh, you have a follow-up?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm just curious on that Aliamanu property, the road. Is there any, I guess, interest in like acquiring that area for the road too, so that the road continues to go through? I know it might not be an open space thing, but it might be. And while we're going through the condemnation, then we condemnate the area for the road, and then, I mean, county has GEP money, you could redo the road and have the road connect again. But has there been any conversation on that, around that, or?
We have
Is
not.
there-
I mean, that's something we could definitely try to explore to see if that's also a parallel interest to reopen or reconstruct the bridge, right? To connect the other side.
I'm not sure if the community would like it or not, but I mean, always having that extra road there, then people have different ways to get in and out, and I know we've had problems on Aliamanu Road. So.
I have follow-up on that, and I was down there at, the active community demonstrations right there when that property was up for sale. So we were trying to, make that change when the property was up for sale. And we did talk about the bridge, and I was really kind of trying to push for that because I think it's a safety issue. Interestingly, the people on either side of the bridge, many of our broken bridges, the people on either side of the bridges don't want them fixed because then they basically have a cul-de-sac and no traffic through, and I think that's something that needs to be considered beyond just the privacy of the people on either side of the bridges, because there's a number of bridges that way when we look for safety issues. Then I have a follow-up for Bernard's question, so should I wait?
Hang on.
Yeah, okay, so
I have a follow-up on this
Yeah.
while we're still on it.
Go ahead.
Have we discussed at all with Parks about acquiring that entire parcel with the house on it? Has that ever, because I know that we just did that with Hawaii, so I'm just wondering if that's a possibility and it was investigated.
I think when it was initially proposed, we did do a lot of research and research at the time when the proposal was the entire parcel. I think at the time it was never done before that we would acquire property with a house. One, it's the price was a bit more than we had in the fund at the time, and then also what to do with the house.
I would just suggest that the resolution will be introduced
Yeah.
as they are recommending, which talks about the pedestrian path. But in that discussion at the council level, or at the council level, then we can have that more open discussions on what we want. The condemnation comes from the council. So if we wanted to go after talking to our attorneys, obviously, we can do the resolution however we want to. But I think today's discussion is limited just to the report.
yeah.
If we want to expand on any of these, let's do it in a separate item.
Okay,
And it
thank
was
you, Chair.
for sale before, it's not for sale now.
That's why it's condemned.
Yeah.
That's why they're
That's
seeking
fine.
condemnation.
That's the difference. I have
You had a follow-up?
I have a follow-up
Okay,
on
go
Bernard's
ahead.
comment.
Councilmember Calder.
So when he was talking about the cultural elements of these different places, what I'm curious about is if we look at the botanical cultural elements on these, because what I have seen, and it's not because whoever buys the property means to do damage. But some of these beach areas, they had a lot of stuff they had all kinds of lahalo right there. They had different plants that, you know, it looks pretty obvious to me they were prevalent there because of, you could fix your canoe, right? Especially your sailing canoe. And so I see all this stuff just get cut down right off the beach. Do we educate landowners? Do we look for significant plant markers on the property when we're looking at the cultural elements? Has that been considered?
I'm sure that could be one of the key parts of our discussion. Once we get recommendations on priorities, key coastal accesses to look at improving, then we'll discuss then how to improve, like what's appropriate per access.
Or what I'm saying is when we're looking at where there is a cultural piece, it doesn't just have to be pohaku. You know, it can be that there's a whole area where it's obvious there's a cultural element for canoe maintenance, and I'm seeing that just that used to be really common in some of these places, and it all just gets cut down because the hala is hard to step on.
Councilor Cooley?
It's a new one, so.
Yep, go ahead. Oh, you had a follow-up?
No, I'm good.
Mr. Cooley?
Yeah. On page 101, about Kaneolo Uma. So the intention here is, because it looks like government has most of it, right? One yellow box inside of a yellow box has County of Kauai and County of Kauai. The other yellow box below it has County of Kauai. Parking lot, County of Kauai. And up above right-hand corner is State of Hawaii. So we're only talking about the one box at the bottom right-hand corner? And those three items make up that one box? Yeah, because it's all 016.
Yeah, I believe it was that Kahakai condominium parcel that was the proposal back in a number of years ago. And I think the thought was, the initial proposal was to acquire, and that's the property with Bernanke and I'm sorry, Nukumoy Surf.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, Nukumoy, my bad. Nukumoy Surf Shop on there. And there is no, they're not necessarily wanting to sell it, but it was a vision to condemn that property and create a cultural
but you have it on hold, and it's on hold because you kind of, the commission is looking to see if the stewards with all of the land that they already have are, as a nonprofit perhaps, is able to go after other sources of money, because 3.5 million is a lot of money. And with all the different places we have to be, or trying to be, all over the island, I don't think we should invest 3.5 million to, as significant as that parcel is, we already have most of it, so let's make the most of what we got with all of that. And I think that maybe that's the reason you're on hold. But I do know too that the stewards, from what we've heard from them when they've come before us, are struggling and need support. So maybe that comes from Parkside or somewhere else, or other community nonprofits out there, or other funders out there, is that they need support. And that's even before trying to raise another 3.5 million to acquire this last piece.
Yeah, and I will say that's just the real property assessment, so the actual assessment on that property would probably be greater. And when we transmitted the biennial report to you folks, we had 3.9 million in the fund, so, and we have pending proposals in litigation that we are holding on money for, as well as other recommendations from the Open Space Commission. So that's probably why at the time this was, Kaneoluma was heard before the Open Space Commission. It's probably part of the reason why they decided to put it on hold. Maybe just the funding wasn't there too.
Thank you, Chair.
No, you're welcome. Wasn't there some discussion on transferring that whole heiau over to OHA or some Hawaiian organizations? I mean, we don't have to go into detail, but that is a possibility for that site as well, right? Ms. Cowden?
I just have a follow-up on that. I spoke with one of the stewards as recently as yesterday, so there's still a lot of very passionate interest there, but none of it currently is any open space, so there's no maintenance monies available for that. Okay, I have a new one.
Go ahead.
On Kaua, that's one that I look at pretty regularly, and look at where the original trail was. That trail was intentionally, with the guidance of lawyers, who should know better in my view, was allowed to the original trail to grow over. And
Again, on Kaupea, I would be very cautious because that one is in litigation.
Okay.
So I would not talk about Kaupea other than what is open public knowledge. So we can definitely get a briefing on
okay, I was
Kaupea
just going to say
in
where the
executive
trail
session.
really was, but I can leave it alone. I care about that trail a lot.
Yeah, I think we all do, but we also are in litigation.
Okay.
So we got to protect the county.
Okay.
And we can have a briefing in executive session if you want to learn more about what's going on. Mr. Kuli?
Yeah, back to the Kalihi Y one, trying to move the pages. On page 105, so the bullets talk about, the asking price in 2019, 2.7 million to 3 million, but the county's real assessment is 345,000. So that's just a realistic gap. It can be that huge. So during condemnation, if that was the case, where do you get? What value do you get to now?
If it reaches the litigation and the condemnation, typically a huge portion of the litigation is going to be on the valuation piece of exactly how much. And so, I'm sure Tyler can and his crew will inform me on that. But yeah, the property owners will come with their appraisals. We do our own assessments and appraisals, and somehow the court will.
So that price that you list is just from our real property tax,
yes,
and it's super low. But this is also talking about 1.15 total acres, so the entire area within the green. So it's would be acquiring more than what was necessary just for a path? Or is that narrow part that just enough for a path, and then down below you have extra because it's near the beach?
Yeah, so it looks like when the proposal came to us, they were looking at multiple different parcels in that one site. So like 104 and 103 is abutting each other. And so that was the proposal that they were asking for. And all of it is, some of it is owned by the state of Hawaii and some was not.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Anyone else? Any other questions? For open space? So again, just to clarify, the community does have a process in place, community organizations, nonprofits that would like to recommend properties that open space could potentially recommend for purchase. They have that ability by reaching out to them.
Yes. We do have forms on our website, the Open Space Commission website, any recommendations can be funneled to our department, and then of course ultimately to Shilea, who will get it onto the Open Space Commission's agendas. Part of the reforming of the rules is to an attempt to kind of streamline the process, and so going forward, we're gonna hope that most of those recommendations are received by June 30th of each year, and so that will set up our open space calendar to receive all the recommendations at one time. And then allow Shilea to do the initial research within 60 days, get a preliminary recommendation to Open Space Commission. Open Space Commission, reviews it, and if there's, of those proposals that are recommended, we could do further appraisals, and then of course ultimately get it to you folks in the biennial report. If there are dossier recommendations, timely recommendations that we hear throughout the year. And so we'll receive all and receive and analyze each of those that are received through by funneling it to our department and Shilea.
Okay. And do you have any vacancies on the Open Space Commission right now?
Yes, we have two. Hoipu?
Well, one, Waimea Kekaha, which is a mayor appointed spot, and then a Lihue to Hanamalu spot that just vacated. John Lucas just termed out within the last month or so.
Okay. Anyone interested in serving on that commission? Let the council know. We'll send it over as recommendations. It's important that we get that commission filled. Mr. Koli?
Yeah, I think I have two more because let's flip to this page. Page 117, the Hanalei district, the big black pot. So only two bullets here. As far as history goes, when was this started and completed? I know it went on for a
We're talking about Sheehan Properties?
Yeah, the black pot, 5.6 million.
That property was the property that wasn't. It was in litigation to expand Backlot Beach Park, and it wasn't necessarily provided to the Open Space Commission for recommendation. It was settled through the Open Space Commission.
So, but you're saying it didn't go to the process that you normally do, but it was still an investment by the Open Space Commission, the funds, Open Space funds.
Correct.
And all 5.6 million came from the Open Space Fund.
Correct.
So back then, it was basically all the money.
Correct.
All our eggs in one basket. I mean, it's a beautiful investment. I think it's super important. It's like the end there. It's the bay, the river, the pier. It's amazing. It's going to last forever. But this brings me to my bigger, broader question, and you probably addressed it, and maybe I missed it, is do we divide the island perhaps by regions? It could be as easy as the legislative regions, districts. We have 3 districts. And do we try to spread our open space investments into the different areas as equally as possible, while still, of course, taking advantage of the best opportunities available and getting the biggest bang for our buck?
I think we've been trying to do a better job of doing that. We're also, a lot of what we've focused on is shoreline access up until now, and now we're trying to focus, kind of diversify, get Mauka access as well. So yes, we have. We really look at all of that when we're looking at
But
our...
there's no actual establishment of criteria, and, like in affordable housing, we've established priority preferences, and so maybe you should look into that, or I will too. I mean, I guess and work with you.
Well, we got to give them more money.
Yeah.
We got to give them more money. I mean, we get $900,000 a
No,
year.
but what little money we do have, we got to spread it across the 3 different regions.
I mean,
Everybody agreed on that from before too, I think.
Yeah.
Like, can't be all the North Shore, got to go to the West Side. We've heard that before.
I think we've done a good job too.
Yeah.
Yes, you have.
Ron and-
Yes, you
Yeah,
have.
overall.
You have a fantastic job, and we appreciate you guys' work. And our open space planner is just always busy.
Ready.
And I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, they do a great job. We're very fortunate to have them.
I have a final comment.
Comment is when we come back.
I have
Do you have a question right now? Because if not, I want to take some
Well,
public.
okay, I could do a
Essentially, my last question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so right there on the next page, page 116, this is near and dear to my heart. I come from a family of Paukai salt makers. This seemed like an amazing, big, wow. If we could really do something like that, that would be amazing. And the land's, 375 acres for $3 million. It's ag land, I guess now, primarily former sugar land, and would help protect the one-of-a-kind Paukai in Hanapepe there. Doesn't say anything about follow-up or when it started and where it's going, if anywhere. What's up with that one?
So the state of Hawaii parcel is Mauka of the salt pond.
Yes.
And it is largely, it's owned by the state of Hawaii. And so there's no condemnation or anything. It would just have to be, seeking authorization from the state to turn it over to us to manage and to maintain. but we I think in the past we have tried to convey that communication. We could renew that. I think more so, especially with other facets of other projects. We have a separate side project involving dune restoration and stewardship, enhancing the stewardship in Salt Pond. We already are working really closely with a lot of the state partners, and have had meetings to explore reopening the ditch system that, with the closure of sugar, part of the critique is that ditch system wasn't maintained, and so therefore a lot of the flooding is now overtopping and going into the Salt Pond area. And so there's a lot of things that we are already accomplishing in other means, aside from just asking if they convey or by an executive order management of that area to the county.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Chair.
In the past, I've gone on little tours. We get on a Kauai bus and we go around to all the ones in consideration. Are you guys still doing that?
We've had let's see, not this year, but maybe last year we did sort of a regional site visit and a field trip open space meeting. And so, I mean, that is a key thing of what we do, and so we'll look to do that again. Okay, and then how does the public or the council know when that's happening? Because I must have missed that invite. We work closely with the attorney's office, of course, comply with Sunshine. I think we publicize, times where we meet, certain key locations. Okay, at approximately this time, we're going to be at this site, and so the public is free to welcome to join us at those sites.
But they're not on the bus.
Yeah, I mean, we have to kind of logistically, we tend to use just one bus, and there's only so many spaces, and then there's also
okay, I just wondered.
Other
in
concerns.
The past, I was public and on the bus, so I just wondered how it was going now.
Any other questions? If not, thank you very much. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to testify? Seeing none, I'll call the meeting back to order. Any final discussion, Mr. Kaneshiro?
I just want to say thank you for putting this together. The whole presentation, the entire biennial report, it's super easy to read, very understandable, easy to get around in. So I just appreciate all your hard work on it.
Addison, and then Frank.
Yeah, I just want to do the same, and just mahalo to the commissioners for all the hard work. I know sometimes this can be difficult as a volunteer showing up on these commissions and making tough decisions, so thank you so much for serving.
Ms. Holland?
Yeah, thank you. I love this report. I think there's so many great things that we can take out of it. I am in strong support of acquisition of properties for public access and for expanding the Open Space Commission funding. I am very passionate about that. That's also why I've been working on that CPR access bill. I really am thankful for this information, and I'd be really excited about working on how we can come up with additional funding, not just like Chair mentioned, but also through possibly like larger landowner donations or nonprofits that support acquisition of like aquatic resources. And we talked last week about wetlands and the birds, and learned about the need to restore those ecosystem services. So whatever I can do to be of support of that, fully supportive. Thank you very much for all your hard work.
Mr. Carvalho, and then Ms. Cowden.
Yeah, I just wanted to mahalo all of you for your hard work. And again, I got to go back to the cultural side that kind of resonates for me, the moku system, and just identifying the importance of that part as we continue to move forward, identify all the resources that we need to look at overall. So just mahalo for all your hard work and much more to come.
Ms. Cowden?
And I also want to just say what a valuable tool this is. Really appreciate the layout. It helps us when different people come to us and be able to, we have a good guideline. I'm sure because this is a public report that they can find it online. So I just want to be saying that to anybody who might be watching, that you can look at this. And then on beach and mountain access from Mauka to Makai, very critically important. And I even want to just give a shout out to our hunters, because as we have lost hunting access, we end up with an overwhelming pig population, and so we are their apex predator. So that is also a very important element in the Mauka access as well. So I'm glad that we are looking at that. A few of these are Mauka access. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Coley?
Yeah, I too want to say mahalo nui loa to the commission, to the planning, to the attorneys, everyone who's been working on this over the years. Critically important. It always comes up in every campaign for office in this county. Good timing for all the candidates. Good luck to all the candidates out there. Personally, I am especially appreciative of the work with Alio Manu. I live in Anahola. I used to go to Anahola and other places, but this last year I discovered Alio Manu, and so I've been walking the coast there, and it's been a little tricky getting to the coast and difficult, and sometimes I'm wondering, am I allowed here or not? But so to have something permanent, and especially working with someone like Nalani Kaniakua, who's an amazing steward in our community and leading the way when it comes to all the work and education around Limu and all. So keep up the great work. I support you 1,000%. When I'm done here, I'll try to help more there.
Thank you. Anyone else? If not, I'll just say thank you again for that amazing presentation, and I'll reiterate what was in the report as well, that in the last 5 years, land values on Kauai have gone up 23%. We took that fund from 1.5% of real property tax revenues. That was our contribution to the fund. We took that down to 0.5%. And then later we went and added more expense to the fund by allowing maintenance, which we needed to, of those parcels and entitlements and so forth. So that further reduced the amount of money available to purchase land. So as we're going around the table and talking about all these parcels, it only becomes available if we have money. And without the money, then we'll have beautiful reports, but we won't have the ability to go after these. So, the timing, as Mr. Kuli said, is right. You know, we'll introduce the bill to amend that to back to 1.5%, and we'll see where that goes. We obviously need the concurrence of the administration, but with a 23% increase in land values, we're losing money in that fund, and we're not able to buy. What we're buying is we're buying the crumbs. We're buying the little crumbs that, just to spend some of the money versus going after true access, like Kalihiwai and Alio Manu and all of these places that we got to give back to our residents. So I'll definitely be putting it up, hopefully, and make the necessary adjustments in the budget, whatever that fiscal change will be, because I think the commission deserves that funds, which was the original intent, if you remember. We got lean on revenues at one point, so it was necessary to reduce the amount of our contribution. But we have gone past that, and I think it's time to restore it. So
Can I do a short follow-up on that?
yeah.
Because I really love what you're saying there on going back to 1.5%, and I know how important it is, and I'm really supportive of that. And I just want to comment that as I was driving in today, something I was reflecting deeply on is all this crisis in the world, and then the damage to our islands in the rain, and that I know we're not getting the FEMA funding to help with that. And so when we're not getting FEMA funding, and the federal funding is getting shut down, so the state funding is going to get shut down, I want to be buying more land, and I just want to give us that little voice of caution that as our county budget might really dry up a lot and our state budget might dry up a lot. So we have to be very thoughtful as we dip into the purse and tie up that money if in case we actually have some real crisis going on. I want to be able to buy more land, and we're doing reckless things in the world right now with these wars and all these actions. So I'm cautious.
Thank you. With that, the motion is to receive. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item, please.
Chair, next item is on page 3, C2026-79, communication from Council Chair Opozo, requesting the presence of Amelia Kiwich Kaneholani, Kauai Program Specialist, Hawaii State Council on Developmental Disabilities, to provide a briefing relating to the Smart 911 system.
Move to receive.
Second.
Thank you. With that, I will suspend the rules and invite our guests up and welcome all of our guests here today for this item.
Yes.
A lot of familiar faces in the audience. Aloha. Hi.
Hi.
Where's Alita?
She's right there.
Thank you for being here. And if you could just introduce yourselves for a captioner, and then you can start your presentation.
There we go. All right. So, aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, and Council members and community members. My name is Amelia Kievich Kaniholani. I'm the Kauai Program Specialist for the Hawaii State Council on Developmental Disabilities. And with me today, I have Leona Saw McDermott. She is a parent of an adult with a disability. She sits on the DD Council board and is also Special Olympics coach. Oh. All right. So Smart 911 is what we're here to talk about today. So what is Smart 911? Smart 911 is a secure service that lets community members create a safety profile for themselves or their household. So 911 dispatchers automatically receive critical information the moment that they call for help. Smart 911 is a nationwide system that links your phone number to a private safety profile that a person chooses to set up. So it's completely voluntary, and it contains the details that they choose to share. Safety profiles are stored in the Smart 911 cloud system, and that is HIPAA compliant. And currently, Smart 911 is available in Hawaii for Oahu and Maui residents. So how does Smart 911 operate their safety profiles? So you can go online to create a free safety profile. So it's free for all the community members, or you can download their app to any iPhone or Android. Once you create your safety profile, you can include photos of yourself, photos of your family members, photos of your pets, and include things like medical conditions, medications, mobility, and communication needs, including your home layout, or if you have something such as ADU unit that's attached, or any sort of rental unit, so that people know that there's other people that may, live on the property. And then when you dial 911 from your phone, the profile appears instantly on the dispatcher's screen, so that they can then relay that information to whoever is attending your call. Smart 911 is great for multi-generational homes, as you can put the profile, add in grandparents that might live there, young children, and also include what their needs might be. It works with a cell phone or a landline, which is great because not everybody has a smartphone, and not everybody will have one when they're calling 911. You can associate it with multiple phone numbers, and also can link it to things like your work and adult day health programs, whether it's for seniors or individuals with disabilities. They could list that they go to like an Easter Seals program or adult day health program, and those programs could also then have a profile as well. Because Smart 911 is a nationwide system, when you travel to other states that offer it, your information will be able to be seen by those dispatchers as well, so that they could have a list of your medications and or needs while you're traveling in case of an emergency. There's also a place to put your emergency contacts so they know who to call in case of emergency. Something to consider as well is Smart 911 allows first responders to be proactive. So as we know, we have a huge storm coming through, and what it can do is you can pull ahead of time the information of people that live in a certain area with the access and functional needs, so if they have a disability, and then we can send out first responders ahead of time to make sure that they're aware that they need to evacuate, and assist them to do so safely and in a timely manner. And then, moving on. So benefits for our first responders. So it's faster response, informed decisions, and improved safety. And with that, Leona is going to share a story that she has for you.
I just want to share that this Smart 911 system will tremendously help this whole community. And speaking as a Special Olympics coach, because I've been coaching over 15 years, showing my age here, I've had first responders call me at any given time of the day and night. Because they know I'm a coach, they know around these individuals, they will ask Leona, how do I approach him or her? What do I do? You know, they're agitated, blah, blah, blah. And we're coaches. We're there to help them with their sport. But we're also there to guide them in the behavior issues. So this program will enable all of our first responders and a lot of other personnel out there to understand their needs, their behavioral, their disabilities, and it will help us as coaches to help them learn more about our individuals. So when they approach them, they know how to come in contact with them and be gentle or, you know, calm, because our individuals with challenges does get traumatic, does get scared when they see an officer or someone in uniform. So this program will enable them to understand them and serve them better when they get approached.
And then one of the kind of great things about this too is it doesn't come from the county budget. Smart 911 can be funded through existing 911 surcharges, and the 911 Commission has already said that they have funding allocated to kind of roll this out, or a program similar to this statewide.
Yeah, they have it.
Yes. And then, do you guys have any questions?
Quick one. Mr. Colleen,
Sorry.
you just said you have the funding to roll out. So when and how how can we support?
It is up to the county to meet and talk with the 911 Commission and let them know that this is something you guys are interested in. As part of the DD Council, we meet with them, we tell them we want this, but it needs to come from someone other than just our council and things like that. Also, if you guys are interested in learning more about Smart 911, they're actually doing a presentation at the 911 Commission board meeting tomorrow morning. That's open to the public, so anybody can kind of sign on and hear that whole presentation as well.
There's nothing better and easier to ask for than something you ask us for that we don't have to fund. We would, though. So Chair and I will contact the Commission.
Great.
And what time is it tomorrow morning?
I believe it starts at 9 a.m.
So can we be sent a link so we could have staff?
Yes, I can send all of the council members the calendar invite with the link.
So am I hearing that, say, a council resolution to support this would be of value to you?
Most definitely.
So it sounds like a good idea.
I did reach out to our fire department, and they're all willing. We're waiting for this briefing, actually. We had to thank you for your patience. We had to postpone the briefing because of weather. So I appreciate you guys being here today.
No problem.
Any other questions?
And we do have some people here to provide some testimony.
Yes, we want to hear some
advocates
testimony.
as well.
I'm going to start calling people up. That's what I'm going to do. You know where I'm going to start, right?
I have one question, Chair.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much. I have a question about the trauma training that police officers go through, and if this is something that often, like that that it works hand in hand to send somebody out, maybe if an instance happens where somebody might have special needs or need extra support or be in like a trauma deuce. Does it flag that in the Smart 911 system and help ensure that somebody, you know, I'm interested in how we could work with KPD to ensure that there is that response, because I've already had those conversations with KPD a little about how do we ensure that everyone has trauma training and respond, like gentle de-escalation training in situations like that. And so I'm just wondering if you guys have had some of those conversations on where that interface is.
So in the profiles, they could put anything that they really want. So there's a list of access and functional needs. There's also a box where you can just kind of freely write, and you could put something like In case of an emergency, please make sure that, someone with trauma-informed care, is there or something like that. In terms of, the training and stuff like that, Smart 911 doesn't necessarily provide that type of thing, but the DD Council is always more than welcome, willing to provide training to anybody around people with disabilities and that kind of thing as well.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, I would encourage that, and if I can support in any way, let me know.
Mr. Police?
Following up along the lines of what she's asking about, you probably have situations throughout the year, like maybe events, and you probably work with the KPD and others so that you're already building relationships and overcoming that fear or whatever. So you do that, right? And if not, maybe just do more.
Absolutely. We do have the badges and buckets that we do every year, Special Olympics at Walmart. They have been actively involved in that. Our athletes, individuals are exposed to those officers and they're getting comfortable and stuff like that, but not all. And the Kauai Police Department has been stepping up their involvement with Special Olympics not just Kauai, the whole entire state. We have officers that participate in the LETR, short Barbosa runs and stuff. So they've been actively involved. They are learning hands-on. Without training, they're beginning to understand and get to know the feel of our athletes and our individuals with IDD. And also for the Kauai mental health and substance abuse as well.
Great.
The more exposure that they do out in the community, engaging with us as an organization, helps them gain that knowledge. And that's where training comes in on their end. Like Amelia said, that we can offer more training to them if it gets into more in depth to help them understand how the Smart 911 will work for them. In the end, the more they know, the more knowledge they have, the more they can serve the community.
Absolutely.
And Amelia, there's the one big annual event that you have over at the convention hall, right? So I'm not remembering. You bring uniformed police officers to participate in that somehow. So there's interaction between the general public, and
Right. So we have our annual Kauai Transition Fair and Legislative Forum. You guys can save the date. Our next one is October 21st this year. But in the past, we have not actually had first responders that have attended, but I will put it on the list since we're in the planning process, and I will invite them to come. We do have a Seniors and Disability Resource Fair, though, on May 6th, coming up at the Kauai War Memorial Convention Hall, where we do have KPD and the Kauai Fire Department that will be there.
all right.
I have a follow-up on
Go ahead.
that. What is really fun, and sometimes I see members of your community base that come to the Touch a Truck event too.
Yeah.
So it might be a really good idea to go to the Touch a Truck event, and you could consider when they come to your annual event to bring a cool vehicle, because I think, if it's easy, because I think when it's a positive affiliation, and the Touch a Truck event, have you been to that? That's pretty exciting.
Was that it? No question?
Yeah, I'm asking, have you thought about doing that? That was my question.
Okay.
Have you thought about doing that?
I have a question. In all of these events, yeah, they're in a relaxed environment. If they're at a sporting event, they're in that environment. But doesn't the behaviors change if they're at home and there's a traumatic event going on, maybe with a parent, and the need to call 911? That the value of this program would alert the responding officers or medics that what's going on inside?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, most definitely, because anytime for any person, whether they have a disability or not, when you have to call 911, it's very stressful, right? You're not going to remember necessarily your name, your address, or any of that. So to have someone where you can just call and they can see that automatically, oh, hey, they're located here. Are you at home? Yes, we're at home. Simple, easy questions that can be augmented with information that dispatchers already have is going to make it a lot easier, and then gives, of course, the first responders the information they need to go in ahead of time.
Thank you. I know we have 4 registered speakers, so with that, can we have the first speaker?
The first registered speaker is Desiree Takub, followed by Alita Smith.
Hello, Chair, Vice Chair, and committee members. My name is Desiree Takub. I am from Kauai. I am a self-advocate. Smart 911 is important because it will help EMF know about my disability and how things can communicate with me and my friends. And Mercy, if also help locate my friend if anything walk away from home. Also, I like to travel. Smart 911 will work in the other state app. Offer it that will help EMF know about to help me when I travel if something happen. I like it to easy to sign up for, and that it also allows me to add information about who live with me. Thank you.
No, thank you. Oh gosh, that was. And we have the world famous Alita. So let me just give you a real world example of what the benefits of Smart 911. If first responders get called to Alita's house for a lost dog or a lost purse, the officers need to know that as soon as they walk in that door, there's going to be Alita running towards you and hugging you really, really, really hard. So the officer coming in will know that's not a mad person, it's just Alita. So I just wanted to thank you for being here, Alita.
Yeah.
My name is Alita Smith. Thank you for this chance to speak in support of Smart 911. I am from Women Itisios, Kauai. The 911 program will help support responders at more quickly in an emergency. They will know details about my family before they arrive. Thank you.
Thank you, Alita. Thank you very much. Next speaker?
Next speaker is Kylie Moniz, followed by Nancy Borales.
Is Kylie here? I didn't see him in here. He's outside?
Outside, I'm gonna go check.
Who's after Kylie?
Nancy Borales.
The middle one. No, this one, right in the, yeah, that's the hot seat. Yeah.
Okay. So my name is Nancy, and for the locals, Borales, but Borales. Here we go. Okay. I want you all to take a deep breath, and I want you to join me on a 911 call, okay? You're visiting a family member that has recently been released from the hospital. And then you notice that their lip is a little bit drooping. And then you realize that this person is having a stroke. You go into panic mode, but you call 911. The paramedics come, and they're asking you all these questions. They're asking certain medications, what medications? You realize, and I want you to realize, that you're only visiting. You're not the primary caregiver. I'm nervous. But you remember, they recently got released. They have the release papers. And it's a 2-pager of medications. There is no way any of us would be able to remember all those medications. But the time, and you're doing your best, because you know that the time to help this person is so crucial, and they need to get to a medical team to the hospital. The first time I heard about the Smart 911 initiative, I'm all in. An emergency will and can happen anywhere and to any of us. At your job, at the grocery store, when you're exercising, down at the beach. This is such a big responsibility that you and I are putting on strangers or whoever is with us. Can you imagine any barrier, any question a paramedic needs to know? They have it before they arrive. Remember, every minute saved is a life saved, and that could be you. Now think of our kapuna, our keiki, and our ohanas with disabilities. Everyone. When an emergency happens, it is never an ideal circumstance. They and you may not be able to answer the saving questions. Another point I personally like is that this medical information is private for the paramedics to use. I personally question, at our employment, how honest are we to share our medicines, our medical health, how good is your health? And so, but you need all that information if an emergency happens. You know, the telephone was a very important invention. Coming up with the nationwide emergency phone number 911 was amazing and time and life-saving. And maybe at that time when that happened, they had rotary phones that took longer. But now we have smartphones, and now it is time that we have the smart 911 system in place.
Thank you very much. Is Kylie here? Oh, okay. Is there anyone else that wants to testify? If he walks in before we... Okay, Kylie, you're up. Which building did you go to?
He went to the state office.
Okay, if you could just state your name for our captioner, Kylie. You need to catch your breath. Yeah, I know that.
My name is Kylie Muniz. I'm a self-advocate, smart 911 is important to me because it was help for first responders knows more about me. It helps my friends who don't speak and use a communication device. The first responder who would know is this added of time, and it would change how they talk and care of from it. This is why I think it is important for us to have. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to testify that did not sign up? If not, we will call the meeting back to order. Any discussion, Councilmember Cowden?
Well, I am so thrilled to see this Smart 911. I would say it's almost tear-jerking to me. It's so moving because I recognize how deeply important this is. And it may probably make all the difference in the world, certainly for the family that is impacted, but also for the first responders, and then certainly for the broader community if things are mishandled. So I thank all of you for showing up here. It really brings it home so much more meaningfully. And I thank our last testifier who helped us to grasp this is good for almost any family that has high medical use in a member there. And not just for the person who's on all that high medical use, it's for anybody else affiliated with the household. So I am 100% supportive of this, and Chair, I thank you for putting this on the floor, if it was Vice Chair too, because I'm sure that we will easily get the messaging that you need. In my view, that would be a resolution, because it's unequivocal and it's, I'm sure it will be unanimous. And I'm happy that the chair has worked with first responders and all of that as well. And so, yay, good job and thank you. As committee chair for public safety, it's especially important to me.
Thank you. Anyone else? Ms. Holland?
Yeah, thank you so much. What an educational thing and presentation. I mean, for me, I had no idea something like this existed, and I'm in obviously strong support. Councilmember Cowden said, this is going to save people, and that to me is priceless. So obviously I'm in strong support of a resolution as well. And yeah, very moving presentation from you guys today, and just really hope that, I mean, it's a no-brainer, I think, for us. I think we all support, but we also don't have to fund it. So I don't know why anybody would say no. It's a fabulous program. So thanks for bringing it to light.
Mr. Bulasan?
Yeah, mahalo, Chair, for putting this on the agenda. Mahalo, Amy, the team, and the board, and everyone who are here and shared. Ditto to everything. I mean, anything we can do to close the gaps of challenges that we experience so we can save lives, but more importantly, do the right thing. This is absolutely necessary. Just surprised that we're waiting till now to get to this point, but super excited that we're getting this going now. So hopefully we can implement as fast as possible and get it going, because we know every second counts. So thank you so much for all the hard work.
Mr. Carvalho?
Just mahalo again. Nice to see all of you and our presenters. Great job. This whole program is so important and totally supportive. And mahalo, Chair, for putting it on. And just want to know how important whatever resources we can provide, the presentation again, and just the delivery, to me, is very inspirational, and we need to continue to support whatever we can do to assure that there's support there, especially in this kind of discussion. So great job and mahalo.
Mr. Kasher?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for the testimony too. I'm sure you guys worked really hard on it. It was nice to hear from the people that it'll help. Also, yeah, I'm completely in support of it. Any additional information that the first responders can get on the front end is good. Again, like Councilmember Holland said, we got to make sure that they know what to do with that information. Also, is the other side of it. But I mean, even for me, I know, I went to go pick up my daughter's TB papers, and then they asked me for her birthday, and then I'm like, oh, stressing out. I should know it, but I went and looked at my phone, or I mean, it's something simple. But I mean, imagine when you're in a stressful situation and they're asking you like, oh, what medication do they take? When's their birthday? Well, I mean, I completely understand. So any information to make it easier for people to get those answers ahead of time, I'm in support of. So thanks for bringing it to our attention.
Mr. Colleen?
Yeah, I just want to add to the voices of gratitude. Mahalo nui loa for coming today and for bringing this to our attention. And of course, you have our full support. So the faster, the better we get this done. Appreciate Chair's leadership also.
Well, not so much the chair's leadership, but the persistence from, I mean, Amelia. Anyway, I'll just say, so many uses for this. You know, when you talked about the medications, even if you found the paper and you're on the phone, you cannot pronounce half of the stuff on the paper. That would be me. You just as a former first responder, I cannot count how many times you get to a scene and the person is not responsive. And you know, for the police officer, they just hang and pray that the ambulance or the fire gets there quick. But then they get there and they're in the same situation and they're guessing on what could be wrong. The fact that this is voluntary, the first part is easy, getting it implemented, and I don't think we'll have any issues. It's getting the public educated. I remember we were at the legislative forum, the last one. One of the questions you asked was, what's your position on Smart 911? And I'm on my phone Googling what is Smart 911. I had never heard of it. And then we spoke after that, and I was thinking, I didn't know this existed. And this really should be in every community, because I think I heard enough people say it's a no-brainer. And even if there was a cost to this, I don't think that would be an issue. So while I was looking up what is the hardware requirements for Smart 911 system, because the program is paid for and all of this through 911 surcharges, but what is it going to take on our end to implement this? And it was Windows 7, 8, 9, 10, or whatever, 2 gigahertz of power and 4 gigabytes of memory. Like that's probably 20 years ago. So I guess what I'm reading is that it is definitely something we can do without spending exorbitant amounts of money for hardware, as most of our dispatch systems cost a lot of money. So we will definitely be pursuing this. Appreciate all of you being here today, especially all of the testifiers and those that came to support. It means a lot for us. It sends a really strong message. And those of you that actually came up and spoke, thank you all, because I know it takes a lot of courage to do that. So with that, the motion is to receive. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm going to take our caption break now because we have some prosecutor items coming up, and I don't want to get interrupted with a caption break. With a caption break. So we'll take a caption break. I would love to have you all meet us on the steps so we can take a photo, that we can memorialize this moment and use it for our lobbying efforts. So caption break for 10 minutes. Okay, meeting is called back to order. Can we have the next item, please?
Chair, on page 3, C2026-80, communication from the prosecuting attorney requesting council approval to apply for, receive, and expend supplemental federal funds in the amount of $50,000 and to indemnify the State of Hawaii Department of the Attorney General for the Kauai Victims of Crime Act Expansion Project 23-V2-03 for the period June 30th, 2026 through September 30th, 2026. Supplemental funds will increase federal funds from $203,743 to $253,743.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. With that, I will suspend the rules. If we can have the prosecuting attorney up.
Prosecuting Attorney Rebecca Hōʻike.
Thank you. I know this is this is kind of a recurring grant that comes up every year. Interestingly, they're going to add supplemental funds this year. Is that what this is about?
That's correct, Chair. So the budget decreased this year by 40%, and it would not have been enough to cover our salaries without this supplemental budget. So the award percentage is expected to increase in this upcoming year, so that hopefully will not be an issue.
Okay. Okay. Ms. Cowden?
Are you expecting other federal cuts? We were learning in our budget session that some of our federal funding is being cut for important positions. Are you anticipating any of that?
We aren't currently. We're trying to stay on top of all the ongoing developments, but it sounds like it's mainly been a lot of sort of smoke and mirrors in regards to at least our positions. They've been pretty solidly funded thus far, but anything could change, of course.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, thank you. You might as well stay right there, unless there's someone in the audience wishing to testify.
After the notice.
Okay, with that, I'll call the meeting back to order. Any further discussion? The motion is to approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item, please.
C2026-81, communication from the prosecuting attorney requesting council approval to apply for, receive, and expend federal funds in the amount of $122,531 and to indemnify the State of Hawaii Department of the Attorney General for the Kauai Victims of Crime Act Expansion Project 24-V2-03 for the period October 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion or any public testimony on the VOCA grant? 80 and 81. This is 81. Did you want to speak? Okay, with that, I'll suspend the rules.
Yeah, Chair, they're both pretty much the same program. So I always get up. I'm in support of the Victim Witness Program. And I've been through the process. And I believe that it's essential from a perspective of the victim. It's an interface between the victim and the prosecutor. And just because of the way the prosecutor's office works and how a deputy prosecutor is able to execute what they're supposed to do, it's not possible for a victim to always go directly to the deputy that's been assigned to their case. And so the Victim Witness Program, I believe, again, is essential. I'm in support of it. And so I'm in support of these grants. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Psychos?
For the record, Lon Psychos, fully in support of these grants. And from the public's perspective and observation, that it seems to me it would be a much better use of our prosecutor and her staff members' time if they could remain in the office and do this, I don't know what you guys call it, by Zoom, to do this over the internet so that they don't have to drive down here and wait and just waste their time until the items come up. So because this is just basically housekeeping, for this, I think that doing this over, somebody help me here.
Remote.
Yeah, doing this remotely would benefit both them in their savings in time and the public, our expense for them, and possibly speed the meeting up. So anyway, food for thought, and they have a bigger stake in this than I do. They'll have their own reaction, but thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Not, I'll call a meeting back to order. Any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion is to approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item, please.
C2026-82, communication from the prosecuting attorney requesting council approval to receive and expend federal funds in the amount of $62,485 from the Edward J. Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Fiscal Year 2024 and to indemnify the State of Hawaii Department of the Attorney General to be used to start the Digital Evidence Transcription Initiative for the Office of the Prosecuting Attorney.
Second.
Thank you. With that, I will suspend the rules. Ms. Prosecutor,
Prosecutor Attorney Rebecca Leakey.
you want to give us an overview?
Sure, I'm really excited about this possible.
I read it. Me too.
Yes. So, our office is the smallest one in the state, and I think some of the bigger offices have investigators and other folks on staff who assist more in reviewing body-worn camera footage. So, body-worn camera footage is a great tool in prosecuting cases, but it takes a lot of time to review it. And so what we're applying for here is funding that, it's an existing Axon program, but it would provide transcription services for the videos. So currently what happens is, it's just not the most user-friendly for watching the videos. We have to kind of if there's a part that you want to focus on, you have to kind of pause it, you write down the minutes and the seconds, and you have to kind of come back to it to review it. So this will allow our deputies to be able to review just the transcription of the body worn without having to watch the whole thing. And one thing that takes a long time is we'll watch the entire transport of a defendant in custody, right? And you're not really sure if they're going to say something relevant, and then you got to replay it. It might not be very loud, so it just takes a lot of time. And also, another impact of having to watch all these videos is it really, it leads to vicarious trauma. These are, people at their worst, and so just watching all of these videos is just really not pleasant, and it's not the best use of our deputies' time. So we're excited about the possibility of saving some time. So we're also going to link this to case processing times, and we're limiting it to our deputies who handle violent offenses. The hope is that we will be able to charge cases. There'll be less continuances in cases because of this capability. So happy to answer any other questions.
Thank you. I wish you had this when I was working in your office. I mean, that would have sped up the time. But any questions on what is being requested? Thank you, Becky. That was the reason for the overview. Answer our questions.
Yeah, did answer.
Is there anyone in the audience wishing to testify? Mr. Hart?
Again, for the record, Bruce Hart. Now that I understand what it is, I agree with our prosecutor. I've watched a lot of BWC, and you can't say, oh, I'm going to skip over this part, because that may be the very part that's vital to what you're trying to determine. And so I can, having watched, just recently watched 4 hours, and out of that 4 hours came maybe 5 minutes that was important. And so I sympathize with the deputies. And yes, it can be depressing. It can be disturbing. And to watch it for more hours than I would care to. So I think I understand it now. I'm in support of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cycles?
For the record, Lonnie Sykos. If I understood the prosecutor correctly, and please tell me if I didn't, that right now what we're going to be doing is getting transcript for like violent crimes, felonies, basically. My question simply is, what's the price difference between getting a transcript of everything and the selected categories of crime that we currently are, which is the other question of, if we only get like certain felonies, which I would be fine with, if we can go back and get the specific transcript out of, I think it's Axiom is the company that provides this. That's just my question for the prosecutor is, can we get the other transcripts off of whatever this contract is that we're entering into, and what's the difference between just these crimes and all of the camera footage? Thank you.
Thank you. Becky, if you could come up. I would assume that the grant doesn't restrict you from using it for any case, but is that just your policy that you're going to be starting off with the violent crimes?
Prosecuting Attorney Rebecca Hōʻike. Yes, we're going to be limiting it, the subscription services, to certain deputies in the office, the ones who primarily handle the violent offenses, but typically the prosecutors in our office handle a variety of offenses, so it's not limited only to those offenses. It's just that those users, when they log in, will have access to this under the program. And then our hope is that we can, part of the grant is tracking case processing times in comparison to past times so that we can see if it results in more efficiency.
Does this amount limit you to just one or two licenses? Is it the cost based on license? Or I guess, speaking as a former investigator there, if I had a body-worn camera video that I was reviewing in an investigation, would that investigator have the access, or at least have the ability through someone that does have the access to get the transcript?
I'm going to bring Jamie up here because she was the one who worked more closely with Axon in regards to the licensing. Thanks, Jamie.
Hi, Jamie Shanks, grant coordinator for the OPA. There's not going to be a limit. I think our focus is going to just be with the investigators and the deputies that focus on the felony crimes, just so we can track it better, because we need to provide stats in order to be able to apply continuously. We do want to roll it out to all the deputies, but I think initially we're just going to be focusing on those cases.
Mainly to see if this is a benefit or not?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to testify? Seeing none, I'll call a meeting back to order. Any further discussion?
I just have a comment. I thought it was interesting, your use of the phrase vicarious trauma. Yeah, I bet that's real, right? If you're watching it over and over again, it might be hard to like your job. But, yeah.
Absolutely, it is. I try to use the transcription thing too for interviews. There's some interviews that can be really upsetting to watch as well or listen to, as opposed to just reading the transcript of it. It can be less upsetting in certain types of offenses, as I'm sure you can imagine. So.
Thank you. There is no more discussion. The motion is to approve. Sorry, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item, please.
Next item is C2026-83, communication from Councilmember Towden, transmitting for council consideration a bill for an ordinance amending Chapter 5A, Kauai County Code 1987 as amended, relating to real property tax, reducing the amount of calendar days that a homeowner whose home is receiving a home exemption is required to occupy the exempted home. The reduction in calendar days is from more than 270 days to more than 210 days.
To receive. Okay. Thank you. This is the memo that's a companion to the bill that'll come up later. But if there's anyone that wants to testify on the bill now, I'll take that testimony now. Seeing none, the motion is to receive. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item, please.
On page 4, claims C2026-84, communication from the county clerk, transmitting a claim filed against the County of Kauai by John Mullen and Company on behalf of D&B Insurance Company Limited as subrogate for Melanie Cotella for vehicle damage pursuant to Section 23.06 Charter of the County of Kauai, and C2026-85, communication from the county clerk transmitting a claim filed against the County of Kauai by Lori Pimentel for property damage pursuant to Section 23.06 Charter of the County of Kauai.
Move to refer to the county attorney for disposition and report back as necessary.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion or public testimony? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item, please.
Chair, next item are your committee reports from your Committee on Finance and Economic Development, CRFED 2026-05.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion or public testimony? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item.
And from your Committee of the Whole, CRCOW 2026-02.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion or public testimony? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item, please.
Next item is a resolution, resolution number 2026-12, resolution confirming mayoral appointment to the Planning Commission for Ku'ulealoha Santos Environmental.
Move to approve.
Any discussion or public testimony? Seeing none, roll call.
Councilmember Bolosan.
Aye.
Councilmember Carvalho.
Aye.
Councilmember Cowden.
Aye.
Councilmember Holland.
Aye.
Councilmember Kaneshiro.
Aye.
Councilmember Kuali'i.
Aye.
Council Chair Opozo.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Thank you. Motion carried. Next item, please.
On page 5, bill for first reading, proposed draft bill number 2992, a bill for an ordinance amending Chapter 5A, Kauai County Code 1987 as amended relating to real property tax. This again is a home exemption reduction in calendar days for occupancy.
Move to receive.
Second.
To receive?
Okay.
Is this my bill? No.
Does anyone have any discussion on the motion to receive?
She can explain the
Go
bill
ahead.
if she wants to.
Oh, he wants to cancel my bill?
His motion to receive, would, if it passes, would effectively kill the bill. But I would, please explain your amendment.
My bill? Okay,
Yes.
sure. So this came up from a couple of years ago, and I don't have deep attachment to it, but it's a simple piece. And in 1981, we had a requirement for 181 days to be a resident of the island, including having an N11 form, that's your tax form. And then in 2020, it moved to 270 days. And that was brought, I believe, by Councilmember Kagawa. It might have been doubled with somebody else. I have it here. But so the reason why I wanted to consider shifting it to 210 days is it doesn't seem really in alignment with realistic residency patterns. There are people who have, for work reasons, they might need to go a lot, like maybe they're an airline employee on the plane. There are plenty of people like that. There are people who have to travel for work. Other people have serious health issues, so they might need to go places in the continent, to Mayo Clinic or City of Hope. They might be gone for a month or two, maybe twice in a year for health reasons. There are older adults, and it could be any age really, but I think about older adults who have grown kids who've maybe had to move away with grandkids, so they might choose to go visit them. We're told that we're not actually really looking very seriously at this limitation, but I feel like we ought to be in alignment with what the law is, what the ordinance is. So I feel like people should live their lives without having to ask permission if they're mostly here. The argument that was made in 2020 was that we really want to keep this very good tax rate that is our owner-occupant. It's kind of what was called the golden ticket, the best rate of having it for people who are really seriously living here and not part-time residents. And I understand that, and I certainly support that. But from time to time, people might have a health issue, or they might have some critical reason where they have to be gone, and we don't want to have them risk it. So I did look at what the other islands do, and close to the same time of when we moved ours to 271 days. So, or we did 270. Oahu, the city and county of Honolulu, and Maui made similar changes. The Big Island is at 201 days. And I looked at what City and County of Honolulu do, and so they have like, you can do a claim for continuance of home exemption. So I thought, well, that's actually a pretty good way of doing it. But they only do that if you are on having a home renovation. So maybe you have mold in your house and you have to get the walls torn out. I brought that up before. Or if they have a temporary work assignment or sabbatical, or fire damage. So they could do this temporary relocation type and not lose their funding. I saw this more recently. I don't know if one could put something in, like for a health reason. To me, health reason should be really particularly strong. I know sometimes people they just retire, so they want to go on a little world trip or they want to do some things. So it just seems like we're being pretty overbearing when we're going to be essentially counting days. So I brought this up a few years ago, and it was supposed to be being built into some other tax reform bill, and I didn't see it ever come before us. So that's my motivation here. I certainly am not somebody who has that kind of time away, but there are people who do. So are there questions? What's the reason for receiving it?
I have a question for real property tax.
Okay.
So do I. With that, I'll suspend the rules, Scott.
Scott, real property tax manager.
Ms. Solid?
Scott, thank you for being here. We've had kind of multiple conversations, both in meetings and also here on the floor about this. And I'm wondering if you can clarify for us the concerns that the council member has brought up in this measure related to an extended trip away, for whatever reason that may be, and how to ensure that that's not a part of, a trigger that would make someone lose their homeowner occupancy tax rate.
Thank you for that question, and thank you for the item. I've spoken to Chair about this measure over the last probably year. We struggled with other parts of the bill, but we are currently working on a revised version to address Member Cowden's concerns. We do not feel, our administration doesn't support changing it to anything less than 270 days, which is basically 9 months out of the year as a resident. But her issue that she has, I'm bringing it up in a possible rules amendment to allow for the exceptions. So, sorry. So we're going to be, very soon, there'll be a transmittal to Chair for your consideration in amending portions of the home exemption. Like, for example, it says that N11 with a reported address in the county. I think what we're trying to do is making it a little bit more flexible to be a reported address in the state of Hawaii. We've had an instance.
We got to keep the discussion to this bill. We cannot discuss that bill.
Okay.
But anything that relates to the requirement of days that the resident must live in their home, that we can discuss.
Okay. We're not in support of changing it any less than 270 days. And we are addressing the other concerns in her bill in a rules amendment to allow for the exceptions.
So currently, there isn't a mechanism that stops us from wiping somebody's home ownership if they get cancer and they go away for 6 months.
Current practice is we're not going to be removing the home exemption because the intent is to return.
So unless the house goes into market rate rental, unless it's, for some reason put on the market, like say I decide to travel for any good reason at all for the whole year and I go away, if I'm not renting out my house, say my mom's still living there or I even, family staying there, I'm not making any money, I'm not renting it, would that trigger me to lose my homeowner status?
The only way you lose your homeowner status is you rent the entire premise.
I have some follow-up questions.
Go ahead.
And my first question is, hey, I'm really glad that you spoke with the chair. How come you didn't respond to me when I put this in? This bill and the last bill, I had no response from you, and you didn't meet with me. Why is that?
I don't recall this ever coming to me.
The discussions,
got this
let me just clarify, that the discussion, when you say we've had discussions, you met, that was off of a discussion we had right here on the floor.
Yes.
Where that concern was brought up, and you made it very clear to this body that in the event someone went away for military, I remember you saying on a deployment, medical, whatever the case was, they would not lose their exemption, provided that they didn't rent out the house. That was a discussion. I didn't even know about this bill. We did not discuss this bill. We just discussed that premise of someone potentially losing their owner-occupant exemption. I don't want to see that. And I don't believe that this finance department tax office would take somebody's exemption away because they were at the Mayo Clinic for 4 months.
Can I ask them some follow-up questions?
Sure.
Our tax policy is complaint-based, correct?
Predominantly, yes.
Predominantly complaint-based, so I'm just going to give an example. If somebody lives next door to somebody, and they know that that person is gone, and they file a complaint and say, hey, I know that this person hasn't been here for 4 months. What's happening with that? If they file a complaint and you went, and in fact they hadn't been there for 4 months, there's nothing in our rules or regulations that says we're going to look and we're going to discuss about what's happening, right? So it might be that you'd have to look at it.
The current process would be sending them a letter of possible not fulfilling the needs of a home exemption, and they would have to respond back. Yes.
So if they responded back and said, I retired last year, we went on a trip, we stopped by and saw the grandkids, we have been back and we had a medical thing, whatever their reason is there anything in the existing pathway that would be able to go, you go, okay, that's fine, and then let that go?
Yeah, in that situation, we wouldn't be removing the exemption.
So, because we have it as discretionary language.
That's how we're treating it right now.
But is the wording may? Is it discretionary language on whether you respond to it?
I would defer to the county attorney for interpretation.
Okay, we can ask him, but then because where there's examples of these things that do happen, especially when they're in neighborhoods that are gentrifying, you can complain and then almost buy out the neighbor house, right? I don't know that this particular thing has happened, but there's definitely complaints that happen on properties when there is a desire to move neighbors, and I get those calls. But I'm just kind of surprised that you didn't get this, because this is something that I have sent over 2 years ago, a year ago, and then recently. And so I don't understand why there hasn't been any response to me. Has there never been sent over to them? I thought every time we turn in a bill, it goes to the department that's being affected.
If you're requesting a
response
for administrative review, then it should go across.
Okay, I thought that was standard, that we standard get the reviews. So I didn't.
Let me just ask a question real quick, Scott, based on what you just said. How long have you been there now?
I've been here about a year and a half.
Just a year and a half, okay. Have you received any complaints from a neighbor saying, hey, my neighbor's house is vacant?
I have
check to see if he has an owner-occupant exemption?
I have not, but let me further clarify. First, we send out a questionnaire letter. If you don't respond, we have to send a follow-up letter to say that your exemption has been removed. From that date, you have 30 days to file an appeal should you not agree with it. So there's a process also in place. So if somebody was removed and you got your assessment notice because you lost your home exemption, you have 30 days to appeal.
Mr. Kanashiro and Mr. Cavallo.
I mean, I think we've been through this conversation before, but at the end of the day, I mean, you're looking at, were they there 270 days? is that their primary residence? Do they have another residence anywhere else in the world that they're staying at? Do they file an N11, a resident income tax? Like all those things are taken into consideration. I mean, if they're gone every single day out of the year because they're at a Mayo Clinic, but that's their only residence on this planet, and they file an N11, there's no reason we would be kicking them out of the house or we'd be changing their tax rate. So, I mean, we've been through this conversation I don't know how many times already.
And I think maybe clarifying or making amendments to the current rules might be more appropriate to put those situations.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's their primary residence, right? Is that your primary residence? They can have a house somewhere else if they're not living there, if they're renting that house out or what, but that's their primary residence. They file their N11 state income tax saying they live there. I mean, there's no reason to change their tax status.
Our biggest thing that we have to go by is the N11, a resident return.
Mr. Kaua?
I guess the same thing what Councilmember said about the primary residence, right? And so you're saying you didn't know about this?
I haven't been here 2 years ago, but the only time I saw this bill was last week.
Me,
yeah.
Well, we have talked about this, and it's been brought up and it's been sent over, so I'm not going to agree with that.
Okay. Mr. Kuri?
I think this is a very simple bill, right? Yeah. I mean, it's changing the occupancy requirement from 270 days to 210 days, from 9 months to 7 months. So, I mean, 7 months is just a month over half of the year. So, when he talks about the N11 form and whatever, maybe the depth of what you didn't know is all her specific what if this happened things, or that rare instance where I know of one person who went to the mail, whatever. Maybe you didn't know about all of that. But as far as this bill, I would imagine you had a simple answer to this bill like you just told us now. You don't support it. So the answer is just no.
Administration is.
For administrative reasons, whatever.
Okay,
what he said was the administration's position.
Administration's position, yeah.
So I would have liked to have received that.
Hang on.
So this is not necessarily a bill that requires back and forth work with you because it's simple. It's 270 to 210, 9 months to 7 months. You don't support it. Do we support it? That's all you need to.
Yes.
Okay.
Very simple.
Is there any questions for Scott? If not, thank you very much. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to testify? Mr. Cycles?
For the record, Lonnie Cycles. So I'll make myself the test case. 2 years and 3 years ago, I spent a little over 10 months in North Carolina taking care of my elderly mother. Thus, I violated this occupancy in my house 2 years in a row. I didn't rent my house out. My neighbors fed my pets, took care of my house, right? I've had people stay in my house, which generally is a disaster, and so I left my house empty. My neighbors watch my house, right? Pay all my bills online. But according to right now, the county should be coming after me and wanting to get the proper tax revenue, which is not owner-occupant, right? Because I wasn't in my house for 270 days. And so, to me, the whole argument is stupid, and Errol hit the nail on the head. Member Cowden's the one that's brought this up, which is, if you own a house on Kauai and it's your sole legal residence, who cares if you're in the house? And how are you going to enforce this? Are you going to have somebody come around every night and look in our bedroom window to see if we're sleeping in the house? Because if you can't enforce this, it's illegal. You're violating our civil rights if you pass legislation that you don't enforce equitably and evenly, and instead you enforce it randomly, which is what the complaint-based deal is. I'm complaining about myself right now to the administration. Come after me. Come after my taxes.
Lonnie, did you hear him? just explain? Did you hear Scott just
Then
say?
I know, they don't
You're not in
like this.
violation. He just said you're not in violation.
How is that?
Because he said,
you're not
if you
renting
went
it out.
away to the mail, to whatever reason, and you did not rent out your house, you're not in violation. So I'm not sure where you're saying.
But so my question is, am I not in violation because that's how they choose to interpret it? Or am I not in violation because that's what the language of the statute says? Because what I heard is I'm not in violation because that's how they choose to interpret it, and that violates my civil rights and pisses me off.
Okay.
Okay?
That's fine.
This is like crazy, absolutely crazy, to make people actually live in the house for that number of days. It's just nuts. There's 1,001 ways that you would, end up violating that. The least of which is every house on Kauai is full of mold, pretty much. And so if you want to do mold remediation, you're tearing the inside of your house out. And if you can get it done in 3 months, hallelujah. So I'm not sure if I'm for or against this. What I am against is the intent to say how many days you have to sleep in your house when it's your sole domicile. And thank you, Errol. You hit the nail on the head very succinctly.
Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll call a meeting back to order. Any further discussion? Mrs. Cowden?
So I want to agree with what Mr. Cycles just said, that ordinances are for the future, at least as much as the present. And so what we see with administrative changes that can happen at the state level, the county level, and then certainly the national level, things can change and the target can move, and targets can move. And so when we decide whether we want to disrupt an area, and that's not us, it's somebody in the future, that's important. I want to say that I think where Mr. Cycles is a good example is he's single. So as Ms. Holland, or Councilmember Holland pointed out, like if your mother's there or your family's there or whatever, there's not even a look that you've left the house. But for people who are single, when they leave the house, it is somewhat of a crisis. I will also acknowledge my own background from Hanalei Surf Company. So in Hanalei Surf Company, we helped to develop and raise, and we've got an amazing person in the room here right now, who has been an amazing waterman, that might have to travel for very significant amounts of the year. And many of them are single. And so they are very consistently gone. And even among that surf community, they structure their lives such that they can go and have these seasons where they are off roaming in the world, because that's the life they choose to live. And it's a central part of it. So I'm really conscious of that. So we risk them losing their homes and their tax rates, and most of them don't even have a lot of money. But it's a big part of our culture, and that when we just want to leave it to the discretion of somebody working in the office, I'm completely happy to be looking at the rules and regulations. This has come up again and again. It's come up on the floor that I would be looking at it, and that we need to look at it. So I'm disturbed that I wasn't responded, that something broke down. But this is just my choice for how I believe that the county should be working with people, is that we allow people as much freedom to live their lives in the way that functions for their life pattern. I think Councilmember Kaneshiro wants to interrupt my discussion. Is that right? No.
If I wanted to interrupt, I'll interrupt your conversation. I'm
No.
trying to make sure that I have a follow-up.
Hang on. I have been so lenient as a chair, but I would expect you. He's not interrupting you.
No, he was. I didn't know.
I don't listen. When someone has the floor, they have the floor. You have the floor until I give it to someone else.
Okay.
So
Well,
just
you-
continue with your discussion and no
So-
one interrupt.
I thought this would be really simple, and just to make it be simply that, lower the number a little bit, because in the type of community that we work in, we have many people who work to take them off island. It's also people in the film industry, many industries that take people off the island for a certain amount of time. So I thought we might as well have our numbers of the days reflect a realistic residency pattern, especially when we have a lot of remote workers that have to go away for a certain amount of time back to where they might be working. All right, so I'm finished.
Okay, thank you.
I guess a follow-up question to Councilor Collin.
Go ahead.
She's giving an example of a surfer that's gone throughout the year that's going to get their owner-occupied tax rate changed.
On and off, not throughout the year, but on and off.
On and off. Do they file a state income tax as a resident?
Yes,
Is that their primary home?
yes.
And the director of finance said they're not going to go after them.
Because he's choosing not to. What if we have another director of finance?
How would they change it if that's their primary residence and they're filing a state tax return that they're a resident? There's two other pieces of information that is going to prevent them from saying this is not your residence.
Why would we have any day amount then, if that's the case? Why would there be any day requirement?
Well, let me tell you why the day requirement, because I was here when we made the day requirement. So let me just clarify. 270 days is about 75%. We did not want people to get a homeowner's exemption and come here for their 9-month vacation and go somewhere else. You drop it to 210, it's 57%, which means with no restriction. They can come here and live half a year, live somewhere else, and get a homeowner exemption. That's not the intent of the owner-occupant exemption. The owner-occupant exemption, the legislative intent, which is what any court will look at, if someone should sue, is for the people that live and work here on Kauai. That's who we want to protect. That's who we want to benefit. I don't want to give that advantage or that exemption to someone that lives here 6 months or 7 months and lives somewhere else. I mean, that's the legislative intent. I'd rather it be the exception rather than the rule. So if you are going to be away, which is what we've heard, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe 5 times throughout the last couple of years from finance, that they're not going to remove or revoke anybody's owner-occupant exemption if they went away for work, military, hospital, even a vacation. If they're going to go away, they're not going to rent out that house. They're not going to rent out their property. They're not going to lose their exemption. If this passes, we are saying to the homeowners, hey, you can live in the house 57% of the year and you'll still get 100% of the exemption. That is not what the legislative intent was. So, I mean, I wasn't aware the motion was going to be received. I was not going to support this because that was simply not the intent. Why would we make it more easier for people to be part-time residents here? Why would we do that? We should be taking care of people that are living here, working here. They should have the benefit of the exemptions and not part-time residents. And as Chair Arrow said, the requirements of the N11 and the permanent home, the primary residence, that should save it right there. No one's going to lose there. And if the finance director is not Scott and is some mean guy that comes in and he yanks it and they appeal, they will win the appeal because they met the requirements of a primary residence. I mean, there's got to be some trust in this process and the system. But 210 clearly just makes it easier for not full-time residents to get the benefit. And that is what I cannot support. That is what I cannot. Ms. Holland.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I couldn't agree with what you said more. We've heard from Scott and we've heard about all the different intents of that. I would like to see some of that codified in some way. I'd like there to be a little bit of clarity around, just the fact that these cases can't be taken. But at the same time, I am also very worried about exactly what you just said and supporting people that Hawaii is not their dominant residence, that they have a home in California, that they pay California tax rates, and the idea of giving people who are largely displacing our community, gentrifying our communities, and forcing generational families out of Hawaii, and really are the reason that many of my generation can't live here because people have come here that can live here for 5 months of the year, to then give them a tax break that is the lowest tax rate in the nation, I find disturbing at best. I'm concerned because we've heard today also in discussion the conversation around federal cuts, around the loss of FEMA funding, around all of these things. And so to further cut our revenues this year by giving tax breaks to arguably one of the classes of people that don't need it the most because they can afford to live in other places for half of the year and then live for half of the year here in their likely, I'm struggling to adequately express my frustration with the direction to preserve and protect that class of people over the generational families that are being pushed out, and reducing a residency to 6 months of the year, 7 months of the year, half of a year, is going to make this process worse. It's going to further exacerbate the problem. And we've already heard that we're going into this concerning period of time, so it just doesn't even feel like the right time. In saying all of that, I would love there to be some sort of, I'm looking forward to what's coming across and going to be presented that shares the way to make sure that if a surfer's traveling for a long period of time, if, I need a sabbatical, that I don't lose my homeowner. I think that there should be ways that it could be more codified and clear. But I absolutely do not support reducing taxes to people that are here for half of the year. And I'm frustrated that the energy and the intent of this is to do so when, it's been so hard for me to address other concerns around, reducing the taxes on generational and Hawaiian families that are constantly pushed out, the people that the focus should be on. And yes, I'm absolutely not in support of this bill. I was not expecting a motion to receive, but this is why I second it. Thank you.
Can I please respond?
Respond to me, though, not to her.
Okay, I will. So what I want to make very clear is that my intention on changing this number was not at all for what this conversation has shifted to. This conversation has shifted to protecting part-time residents. And my motivation, anytime I have brought it up, is how we make sure we protect our people who are long-term residents for a very long time, and maybe they have a life change, even just for a bit. So I am not attached. We changed this during COVID. Prior to that, it was 6 months. We changed it then. It just seemed like a lot. We have had people embrace it, that it's worrisome. And when I see people, maybe they go to another country that they have family in, different things like that. I just was trying to help. This isn't for me. This isn't for the people that you're inferring it's for. So I'm unattached. I can see that you guys don't want it, but I was trying to bring this up, and I'm just shocked that I haven't heard from finance for as much as I put this out.
Mr. Cooley?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, okay, I made the motion to receive, and the reason I did is because this is a very simple decision, right? I mean, it's one number versus another number, and for whatever the intentions are, intentions don't really matter. What matters is the actual language and the numbers, and this is what the numbers say. And now what we've heard from all the different council members is what those numbers mean if you put it in place, and they don't like it, and they're going to vote against it. It's not about anybody's intentions or about any individual personalities. It's about what's before us. And I think what's before us is a very simple decision between 9 months versus 7 months, 270 days versus 210 days. And I don't want to see this council waste time going to committee, or our staff waste time going to committee, going back to the full council, deliberating anything further when what's clear is they don't support it, no, based on the numbers. If there's other concerns about the administrative rules and how things are implemented, work it out with them. And then there's plenty concern now with that to follow up, so let's follow up with that, but let's just vote and move on.
Okay, I'm gonna agree, because I was actually kind of trying to protect even people in this room. So, if we don't want it, I don't need it. And so I will vote in support of that, but what I do want is absolutely on the record for finance to work with me on those rules and regulations, because I am stunned that that hasn't come to me already for as much as I've brought this issue up.
Well, I don't think anyone got the rules. I don't know if anybody got the rules.
No, but I didn't either.
The rules is a process that is not involved the council.
But I mean, I would like to be able to see
You can
it.
always ask for a briefing update.
I'd like to have a briefing, because I would have liked to have had
That will
this
require a
long.
public hearing as well. They cannot amend rules at the administrative rules without a public hearing, so that
Well,
will
I'd like to
require
have
a
a
public
meeting. I
hearing.
want to be included in that conversation.
Ms. Hall?
I would just like to state, Chair, that while I wasn't on the council when that adjustment from 210 happened to 270, I would like to thank everyone for that, because to me, I feel like that's part of the reason that our generation was displaced from Kauai, is that people could come here for half of the year and get great tax rates that are 1/3 of what they pay for their house in California, and it's actually been an incentive to sell off our aina, to sell off our community, and to force people out of Hawaii. And so that's why the adjustment, I believe, was changed, and that's why I'm grateful for it. So thank you.
The reason it was changed is because the abuses were being noticed, and we were seeing more and more part-time residents moving here and enjoying the benefit of that tax break, and that, I believe, was the reason why that number was increased. I would love to see that number go up, to be honest with you. I think, 3 months out of the year is more than enough, but, I'm not going to amend that. I'm just saying dropping it to 57% would be an invitation for that to continue and grow. Go ahead.
I do want to say, when we're saying that we have the lowest tax rates in the property tax, we do, certainly especially for owner-occupant, and that is because we have the highest state taxes. And so, because we pay for schools and social services out of state taxes, whereas most states, they pay that in property tax. So that's where there's that very big difference. And I find that most of these part-time residents, they don't pay Hawaii state taxes, because they're very, very high, especially for those who have a strong income. But I will agree with Councilmember Holland that when these houses are just part-time houses and there's a house somewhere else that is back and forth, it is really problematic in our numbers for being able to have availability of housing.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Mr. Bulasan?
Yeah, I'd like to mahalo the introducer, mahalo for the discussion that was shared on the floor, and mahalo to admin for their input. Really, I feel strongly where in a first reading that I need to put so much input and research and have such a strong decision made. Usually, generally, I'd like to support it to go through the process. I am too, after the discussion and understanding of the intent of the purpose of this bill, won't be supporting it. Couple of reasons. One, it was mentioned already on the floor that we do have the lowest tax rate, not even adding that home exemption. We have one of the lowest tax rate in the country. And the purpose of the home exemption, as mentioned already on the floor, is to incentivize homeowners existing on the island. And I share in that philosophy, and I feel like with the intent of the bill, while dedicating it for a smaller subgroup of community that needs certain exceptions to get support so that they can continue being homeowners, is an exception to the rule, and I don't want to incentivize not staying. And so I feel like that this bill is actually looking to potentially incentivize that, to make that exception to be the rule. By going from 270 to 210 days, then we further want more people to have that as practice, not want to stay. And so I definitely don't want that to happen, because as stated already in the discussion, this generation and future generations, I want the future generations to feel that they're incentivized to stay and want to stay. And and as mentioned by an administration, if there's certain exceptions, as was mentioned, it would be understandably taken care of through the process, and I don't feel that this admin won't consider those. And so, as I mentioned, I won't be supporting this one.
Anyone else? Oh, the public testimony is already done, sir. I'm so sorry. Anyone else? Mr. Kanashiro?
Yeah, I don't support the change. The motion was received. I don't think even if it went to first reading and public testimony and committee, I don't think there'd be a valid reason why I would change my decision at that time either. So I'm comfortable voting on it now, and I'd be voting to receive.
Anyone else? All right. Again, I wasn't expecting that. I will support the motion to receive. I don't remember the last time I voted to receive a first reading bill. I know I've done it, but this is very rare. Again, I'll reiterate the fact that this should be an exception and not the rule, because once you create that rule, then the abuse will happen. I know Councilmember Cowden was concerned about people having to ask permission. You know, and I look at that as like when you go to work and you have X amount of days of vacation or sick leave, and something happens that you need to be away from work for an extended period of time, you do not have the right to just go and expect the boss to say, oh, okay, fine, you need to get permission. And I think it's not hard to ask that, or even if it's after the fact, when they get that letter that their exemption is going to be removed, and they have an opportunity to say, but I was at the Mayo Clinic, oh, but I was on military deployment, oh, because I went to take care of my mom. I mean, if any finance employee does not grant that exemption, then they shouldn't be a county employee. They should not be a county employee. I do not see that happening. So 210 days, think about it, that's again, as I said, 57% of the time that you are required to live in your home. The other requirements that are in place, as Mr. Kanashiro shared, is still there, and you still got to comply. You cannot have more than one primary residence. You cannot have more than one homeowner exemption, and the software that we use now can pick that up. So if you're maintaining a primary residence in another state, we will know. And in fact, I know for a fact that we have revoked some exemptions because of that, and rightfully so. They should not be benefiting from the owner exemption if they're claiming an exemption somewhere else. So for those reasons, I will be supporting the motion. With that, the motion is to receive. Roll call.
Chair, point of privilege.
Yes.
The last time we killed a first reading bill was actually my second year, just mine.
Was yours?
Yeah, my first year.
Oh, I wasn't here?
You were here.
I voted against your bill?
Yep, but that's okay.
Must have been. Yeah, well, I mean.
Not personal.
Yeah, it's never personal. Roll call.
Councilmember Bolasan?
Aye.
Councilmember Carvalho?
Aye.
Councilmember Cowden?
Aye.
Councilmember Holland?
Aye.
Councilmember Kanashiro?
Aye.
Councilmember Kuali'i?
Aye.
Council Chair Pozo?
Aye.
7 ayes to receive.
Thank you. Next item.
The next item is a bill for second reading, Bill number 2985, a bill for ordinance amending Chapter 6 of Hōʻike County Code 1987 as amended, relating to the County Housing Development Fund.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion or public testimony?
Let me look at them, flipping my pages.
That's the bill for second reading.
I got them mixed, messed up here for a second.
Adding the language for the housing development fund to, in addition to the financing of housing development projects, to also, and for programs for the preservation of existing housing for Kauai residents. So I think one of the things that's going to be covered under that is the new deed restriction program that the pilot program that they're working on. It's just, yeah, that's it. Call for the question?
You calling for the question?
Yeah.
Okay, move, the motion is to approve. Roll call.
Councilmember Bolasan?
Aye.
Councilmember Cavallo?
Aye.
Councilmember Cowden?
Aye.
Councilmember Holland?
Aye.
Councilmember Kaneshiro?
Aye.
Councilmember Kuli'i?
Aye.